Why are the gays so obsessed with sex? I know that's like the dumbest question to ask, but no, really, why are we? A large part of our existence and place in society is attributed to our sexuality. Now, it's not much of a difference with straight culture. However, whether you're gay, straight, bi, or pansexual, according to the stats, men have higher sex drives than women. Perhaps because of higher testosterone levels, for the longest time, homosexuality was frowned upon, so gay and bisexual men would marry women but cheat with men, or they would just stay single and just smash men. Men were not allowed for the longest time to get married with each other, so most gay and bisexual men don't even know what a healthy relationship between two men is. Most gay and bisexual men know is sex. This sexual freedom is destroying gay and bisexual men. Men are not willing to admit it, but the stats don't lie. Let's talk about it.
Pose.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your boy Dante, and I'm back at it again with another video. As you guys can see by the title today, y'all, we're gonna be talking about the obsession with sex when it comes to the gays in the community, child. Now, before we get into everything, I want to make some things very clear. This doesn't apply to every gay person. However, this is something that we all need to talk about. Nobody's talking about it enough, so hell, I'm gonna just do it. The topics I'm gonna be talking about that's gonna consist of this video is gonna be the AIDS epidemic. I want to talk about the hookup culture, and I want to talk about the evolution of, like, you know, the gay dating apps and stuff like that. I also want to talk about porn as well, and you know, other things that come to my mind as I talk more into this video. The AIDS epidemic is a major global health challenge that has claimed millions of lives and continues to impact people around the world. The AIDS epidemic has killed more than 39 million people, y'all, worldwide, including 500,000 people in the U.S. In 2023, an estimate of 630,000 people died from the HIV-related causes.
The city of San Francisco, imagine 40 years ago. The date, June 26, 1978. The occasion, the Gay Freedom Day Parade, with lots to celebrate. Harvey Milk had just become a San Francisco supervisor, the first openly gay official in California. For those who lived in the Castro, the future looked bright.
People here are celebrating. They're celebrating their liberation, their freedom to come out of the closet and to be gay people unafraid. They hope and they fear, but they are walking out of the closet and in such great numbers that they are encouraged with themselves to think that they won't be stuffed back in the closets by anybody else.
At the time, the biggest threat, Prop 6, the Briggs Initiative, then on the state ballot. It would ban gays and lesbians from teaching in public schools.
Parents have the ultimate right as to who is going to teach their children. At one time, parents didn't want blacks to teach. At one time, they didn't want women to teach. You know, the old Bible says women shouldn't be teachers in the Old Testament.
KPIX's Richard Hart hosted the debate.
The Milk-Briggs debate was really ferocious because they were at each other's throats.
You know you're lying. You know you're changing the statements around.
Voters delivered a resounding defeat, but now an invisible new danger was silently spreading within the community. A virus. It would soon strike with lethal force.
What did the spots look like?
In June, a cluster of strange pneumonia cases began to crop up in gay men. Then a rare cancer that left purple lesions on their bodies, persistent rashes, lingering colds, fungal infections, dramatic weight loss.
It was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying.
By the end of the year, the virus had killed 9 people in the city. By 1992, that would jump to 30 a week.
For me, it became about more than a story because these were my friends who were dying.
In the mid-'80s, Hank Plant was working for KPIX News. He was one of the first openly gay television journalists in the country. For Hank, it was at times hard to maintain his objectivity.
I usually kept it together long enough to do a story, to do an interview, to go to somebody's house, an AIDS patient, interview him. Many times I had to go out in the hallway and compose myself, especially going over to a place like San Francisco General, where they were doing such heroic work, but there were so many AIDS patients at that time. I often had to go out, get it together, and come back in and finish the job that I was sent there to do.
On the front lines, the dedicated staff at San Francisco General Hospital. On July 25th, 1983, the hospital opened the first dedicated AIDS ward in the country.
It's a big difference knowing there's somewhere that can handle the situation and take care of the problems. Just knowing it's there helps.
Patients will feel very much at home here in the sense that they'll feel welcomed, they'll feel supported and cared for.
Within days, it was fully occupied. It was called 5B and is the subject of a new documentary.
We would record their deaths here. Through the end of 1983, 24 patients. And so then in 1984, 117 patients.
And what was your reaction when they said, Jeff, you've tested positive for AIDS?
Well, I asked my doctor to leave the room so I could cry. I was very upset.
KPIX's People Are Talking did a live remote inside the AIDS ward.
We went in and so much information came out of that about just the human side of this thing.
I make short-term goals and I keep them. I try to keep them. Dying for me is, there's a very fine line, I believe. I think at the very end stage, you just keep going. You don't have a choice. You can't give up. At least I can't.
Okay.
With AIDS Lifeline, KPIX also helped debunk stereotypes as well as mobilize research. It was a critical, life-saving effort, given how it took then-President Ronald Reagan years to even mention the word AIDS in public.
What people have to remember is that Ronald Reagan and his administration were silent about AIDS. Finally, he agreed to give a speech about it years into the epidemic. And I stood in front of Reagan. He was up on stage. I was standing down with the press. And I made a note in my reporter's notebook that night in D.C. that at the moment that he said the word AIDS for the first time, 23,000 Americans had already died.
Anybody that watches me, I want to make sure I put it out there that make sure you get yourself checked out at all times. If you're a person where you're having sex or whatever, whether you're doing it with multiple people or you're having unprotected sex and stuff like that, be careful out here. Even if you're in a relationship, you got to be cautious and careful.
So the CDC has actually created an organization. It's known as the Stop HIV Together Foundation or organization. And essentially one of the main goals is to provide at-home free HIV testing. I've actually got the test before. I didn't know it was through the CDC, but they are free tests. They're oral swabs. They're sent to your house to test every 3 months. If you qualify, you have to fill out a questionnaire and quiz. But the tests are very easy and the packages are super discreet and they are pretty accurate. They're FDA approved tests. So I'm going to attach it for you guys. This is not an ad, just a great resource. You'll click the link up here, Stop HIV, and then you'll click the second one, Order at Home Tests. OraQuick is the brand. They are found at LabCorp and Quest. Enter your zip code, and there's questions. If you qualify, they'll send them to your house, and then they also have resources you can see.
Back in the day, gay men often found partners through discreet methods like cruising in public spaces like parks, restrooms, and train stations, using subtle signals and looks to identify other gay men, all while maintaining secrecy due to the social stigma and legal repercussions of being openly gay. Fast forward to the 1990s, the very first gay dating site was called gay.com, which launched in 1994. A year later, Match.com was launched. As connections with other people and computers got faster with photo uploads and downloads, the defining experience of meetup websites slowly shifted from group chats to browsing photo-filled profiles and then messaging potentials. As time went on, apps like OkCupid were launched back in 2004, which was the very first dating app to extend gender and sexual orientation identifiers. Grindr, Scruff, Adam for Adam, and so many more all took a rise from the mid-2000s up until now. Although these apps and websites were great for queer people to come together, hookup culture in the gay community skyrocketed, being that now gay men have much more access to sex. Porn plays a major role as to why some of us gay men have an obsession when it comes to sex. Me personally, I kind of want to talk about porn. I found out I can say that word up here, but I just can't say it too much. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not afraid to admit it. I feel like watching porn for me growing up or whatever, like, getting older as a young adult, I felt like it helped me in a sense. Like, it helped me figure out what I liked, what I didn't like, what was I attracted to, like, sexually, what kind of guys I was into. As far as, like, finding out my position, I kind of had to figure that out once I was, like, actually having sex or whatever. So I was on Twitter, y'all, and this guy made a very interesting tweet. So the person said, "What's an opinion on sex that will get you like this?" And the person responded and said that most gay men don't crave sex, they crave intimacy. Society plus toxic masculinity has guided us away from our feelings into what we think we need. I believe most are searching for love, acceptance, and companionship through sex. That's why they have so much of it.
I am really struggling with something, and I want to talk about it. But before I do, I need people, if you are a parent who was like touched out by your children, I do not want to see you in the comments. If you are someone with any kind of neurodivergency and it manifests or shows up as you not liking touch or people touching you, I do not want to see you in the comments. Okay? But I feel like I'm dying from like touch starvation, y'all. I don't get hugs. I don't know. I feel like if I were to get the kind of hug that I fucking really want, I would crumble into pieces. how do you deal with that? I really like need to be like touched. And I know someone's gonna say like, okay, go to the salon and get your hair done, or get a massage, or get your nails done, right? So someone can hold your hand. None of those people love me. None of those services love me. Right? But I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling with like, I don't get hugs. That shit is it could be like maybe a hello, whatever, maybe. But it's not enough. I don't know how. I don't know how you. How am I gonna go the rest of my life like this? I think that that's really hard. I'm just really struggling. I'm really struggling. Like I spent like last night just going like this. Like 20 minutes. I'm just, if anyone else is struggling, what are you doing?
Now, I kind of want to use this segment to just personally give my personal views when it comes to, obsession, to sex and stuff. I was once that person. I can't even really act like I'm just now like at a space where I'm like healed. I'm still at a space where I'm trying to control myself. I did a video similar to this. It's called Why Are the Gays So Hypersexual? And mainly what the video consists of, it just consisted of me and my journey and what I had to go through and why I react to certain things the way I react to, and how my childhood trauma kind of like affected my sex life in a sense. And it was because I was lonely. Well, for me, I felt like I was lonely. I felt like I gained my confidence through sex, so I couldn't get enough of it. I felt like, when it came to like having sex, I had to perform every single time for the person. It's a plethora of reasons. I was depressed as hell. Mental health was on a fucking zero. Again, I just felt lonely or whatever. So having sex and watching porn and stuff like that, that shit really like, it didn't help me out, but it was like a cope mechanism for me. I wasn't in a space where I was able to even face what I was going through until I started going to therapy and opening my mouth and talking to people about my situation and stuff like that. Having my friends and family help me out throughout my journey and stuff like that.
Why is so much of the gay community focused on sex? We are a community that, first and foremost, is formed around our sexual identity. So inherently, sex is a big part of how we come together, how we communicate, the axis around which we spin, if you will. Second, we're male, and our sexual drive can be more front and center than other gender identities. And then three is so much of who we are, which means who we want to have sex with, has been policed and literally outlawed for so much of our lives and for so much of history, that now that it is legal and mostly accepted, we are of course going to come together around the thing that we are most commonly made to feel shame and stigma around. And that's not just who we are, it's who we choose to love and who we choose to have sex with. So that's the answer for that. Let me know if you totally disagree with everything I just said.
It's a video that Tariq Ali posted earlier this year. I guess it's a clip from his podcast, but let's watch it together because it resonated so much with me. I had already seen it, but we're going to watch it again with y'all. So let's do it.
Being a queer person in high school and middle school, I was always the gay best friend. Like, my girlfriends had boyfriends. My girlfriends were getting pregnant in high school. Like, we had to live vicariously through our girlfriends, our guy friends. Like, seeing you guys have relationships and boyfriends and Valentines and the quarterback and the cheerleader dating. We didn't have that. It was me and a couple other gay people in the school that we were not attracted to each other, okay? So we didn't learn gay sex in 6th grade when we were watching those movies in gym and health class. I didn't see movies with gay sex growing up. Like, we don't know anything. I have lived in a heterosexual scope all my life. And so I wanted to allow myself the space to explore my sexuality because I didn't know it. I didn't know it. And especially if I'm going to be giving my body and experiencing my body with other people sexually, I want to know what my identity is. I want to know what I like. If I'm to be pleasured and if this is supposed to be a good experience, I need to know what I do and don't like, what I am and am not comfortable with. I want to know what's out there. You know, like when I did finally get to the point of allowing myself the space to seek and to learn myself and to learn myself sexually, I just gave myself the space to just explore. And so, you know, I did a lot of different things. And, you know, it was one thing I'm going to share that I was like, not sure if I was going to share, but there's a reason I want to share.
All right, y'all, that's it for that video. But I just wanted to make this video to just spread awareness that you're not alone if you're in a situation where you just can't get enough of sex, because I was once that person. Love you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow.